And now.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty much
That's how we
experts.
start.
I'm Robert John Patterson here in sunny Montenegro. This is my brother Mike,
Hello.
my brother Skylar,
Hey, baby.
and this is a special. Wow, setting the tone for this
Getting weird.
special edition. This is a Tuesday 9/11 anniversary episode.
Special.
This is our first ever special edition episode based on a holiday. We have a few more like penciled in down the rest of the year, but this is the first time we're doing this.
Yep.
Boys, this is history. Almost more important than actual 9/11 is 9/11 2018 when we cover
Wow.
9/11.
Yeah.
Bold.
Nothing more special than the 17th anniversary.
No,
Of anything.
It's a good,
of anything.
It's a good milestone to celebrate. That's why we're doing this.
Because
episode.
people stopped carrying around, I don't know, level year 8
2004
dies
Yeah.
down,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now we're bringing it back.
Yeah,
Coming in
I
hot.
think like your first anniversary is paper, second anniversary something, 17th anniversary is spit. Is what it is.
Wow.
Sorry, no disrespect. No disrespect.
I felt like personally after 10, I thought 10 was the like, and now we're moving forward.
10,
You know?
really?
I guess like
Well, they
Yeah, I
were
thought,
still
like,
in
you know, like-
Afghanistan, weren't they?
I thought 10 brought it back. Like, I'd say,
Yeah.
like, 8, no one cared anymore. Like, the
oh,
war
I'm not
was
saying
still
that
on.
like nobody cared.
Yeah.
No one cared at 10. I'm just saying after 10, it's like now you only get the milestone every 5 years. I think you can
Yeah.
make a deal.
Okay.
And eventually
Yeah.
10
You know,
years.
It's like every birthday party after 20. Like, you don't get to celebrate 23. Like, grow the fuck
No.
up. 25, 30, 35, 40.
No, I'm saying they
And then that's
sweet
it.
16 for a reason.
Yeah, like,
I'd
I
say
was being
nothing
generous
else
with
after.
20. Like, I think after you're 11, you don't get birthday parties anymore. Too old for that.
It's time to be an adult.
Yeah.
So, 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember where you were?
Yeah, I was home from school for...
I was gonna say,
Like, I-
before
I was
you
gonna-
say
I
your
was
story,
always
I
home
was
from
gonna say,
school.
were we all in the same building in high school? But of course not. You were fucking home from school because you never fucking went.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that must have been like grade 10, maybe? The start of grade 10?
I think you guys were in grade 9. I was in grade 11.
No, we were in grade 10.
You were in 10, so I was in 12? Because I'm like 2
No,
up.
you would have been... You're only 1 year ahead.
No, I'm 2 up.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it was... It was
Skylar,
grade 9 or 10.
confirmation?
Either way,
Grade
I wasn't
9
going
or
to
10.
school.
2001.
1.
Like,
Yeah.
let's narrow it down.
Yeah.
2001, September 11th,
Yeah.
9 o'clock. Was it 9? Like about 9 o'clock. 10
Yeah,
after 9.
9:47.
Yeah.
No one shows up to work at 9 o'clock, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I was
So-
home. I was sitting in my living room drinking coffee with my nan, and she
So
was...
you got up that morning and you just didn't go to school. You just stayed at home.
Yeah, like every day.
Like I get that, like I'm just like a shitty kid and I'm gonna fuck
Yeah.
off and leave my actual house, live with my grandmother, like Wheels from
Yeah.
Degrassi.
Yeah.
And but you got up in the morning and then just chose not. Like I just always assumed you just slept in.
No, I just wouldn't go, or I'd go and get drugs. Like, it was... If I had drugs, I didn't go.
Right.
Yeah, it was the time of my life, right? Priorities, bud.
Yeah. Right. Of course.
But I
Don't
just...
go to the
I just
don't
remember...
go to the beer store when the fridge is full, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
That's
Right,
exactly
right.
the same. But
You
yeah,
don't
I
use
just remember...
Tinder when you
I
got a
remember...
girlfriend.
Yeah, that changed. But I remember sitting on the couch and my nan just cursing all hell at the television.
Right.
And, like, she's from a different generation, so you can imagine some of the things she was saying. Like, it was
Yeah.
not... it was
She
not...
blamed everybody.
Yeah, she blamed pretty much everybody that wasn't white. Yeah.
Yeah. She blamed everyone that. I think I remember being like I remember going to like second period English class and my teacher came in and was just like if you don't know, now you know, kind of thing, right? Like,
Sucka.
just like, hey, in case if you didn't know, the World Trade Center has been attacked. This morning, was hit by planes, and they think it's an attack, is what we got told. And that was maybe 10 o'clock. Like, by the time I knew, it was probably already long over. You know what I mean? Like, because like I was in class, and it's not like they announced it over the PA or anything. I think people just heard of it secondhand. It was more like, I don't know, like the people that had spares had heard it on the radio, kind of thing, and spread word through it. You know. And
that was exactly my situation. I had the first period spare, and I was saying to you last week when we were talking, like, oh, we should do 9/11. I remembered it wrong. I thought we took the car in together that morning, but it wasn't that. No. It's because I had a first period spare, so I took a ride in with my buddy. Shout out to Byron, and we listened to it on the radio. And at the first time it happened, everyone was assuming it was like an accident. And we showed up to like art class, like, hey, did everybody hear? And everyone's like, no. Like, this is 2001. There's no cell phones. There's no mass communication. Nobody knew anything. And we're like, some idiot pilot like drove into a building in New York. Like, someone.
I'm pretty
like,
sure that's how it was reported first.
It was like that's the way we heard it. And we showed up to art class, and it's funny thinking now that I am legitimately an artist and I'm traveling the world. Here I am in goddamn Montenegro. But I was a horrible fucking art student. I would just sit with my boy, another shout out to Kevin Melro. We'd just draw dicks on our paintings. We'd just paint an entire picture and find how many fucking dicks we could boobs. Like, we're so immature.
You could fit in there,
yeah. Every year of high school.
It's still great. It's still
fun.
From
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like, we just, like, took art class every year. We'd paint a beautiful picture and then, like, second pass, cover it with as many stupid dicks as we could. And then third pass was just get, like, the clear, like, glaze and just glaze. We'd spend the whole week just glazing. And the teacher would come by and be like, oh, your painting's looking good. I'm like, I don't know, it's not glazy enough. And he would just be so frustrated. Like, this poor art teacher just having to put up with these stupid kids. And we had, like, I guess he had, like, a mobile radio, and we would listen to Howard Stern in the morning. Like, we'd share headphones. So I came in with Byron that day. We got, like, our ride in, and, like, oh, man, someone crashed by accident. And then I sit down with Kevin, and we're, like, sharing headphones and, like, getting this real time, like, the information is slowly revealing itself.
Yeah.
There's a few people on the show that are, like, panicking. There's a few people saying, like, what if this is, like, a targeted attack? And then there's, like, the rest of the room is like, no, it was an accident. Until
it was all
the
speculation.
Until the second plane haps. Haps is a really cool way to say happening. Until the second plane haps, everyone's thinking it's an accident. And we're the ones that are, like, sharing headphones, just glazing our stupid paintings. I think I had a painting of a cheetah. He was drawing maybe a zebra. I don't know. We were wasting everyone's time.
Zebra with a real veiny motherfucker.
Yeah, but like every fucking line on the zebra was just a fucking dick. Like,
oh no,
so fucking immature.
See, I remember though, like, in my own ignorance as like a 15-year-old child.
Sure.
And like someone telling me that like the World Trade Center like got hit by planes, and the Pentagon got hit by a plane, and the Twin Towers are gone. Like that, they got hit too. So like, I didn't realize the World Trade Centers and the Twin Towers were different things.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh my god, like they've hit everything. You know what I mean? And like Hoover Dam was gonna be next, and yeah. So in the White House, right? Like, and so. I remember I thought that, like, looking back now, just being like, you're an idiot.
Well, at that point, too,
this
like,
is also pre-internet.
You don't know. Yeah, pre-internet, and you don't know. Like, you're like you said, you're still a kid, your imagination's running wild, and now you're aware that it, was a terrorist attack. Potentially, you're aware of that.
I don't think
You know,
I
there
knew
was
it
a
at the
point.
time. I didn't even know what a terrorist was at the time.
No, not
See,
really.
but even
no.
like even now thinking of it, like I remember, like I said, second period I got told, and then third period, like I had lunch, so everybody then that like I hung out with had their own little snippets of information that they were throwing around.
Right.
Right. So you kind of pieced it together, and then actually I had civics and law in fifth period, and this is all now like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And our teacher just had CNN on, and we watched, because he was very much just like, this is a game changer. Like you're gonna remember this day forever.
Right.
Like you need to be aware as a citizen. Like soon you're gonna be able to vote, and that whole.
Well, I can
rock the vote.
I can remember like not really knowing what was going on, but still feeling like, yeah, this is a kind of like a monumental moment. It's history. And I watched it all day. Like I watched the news coverage all day.
Yeah,
Like
I feel the
just
same
drinking
way.
coffee and sitting there with my nan.
I feel like in the lecture hall in high school, like if you had gone, Mike, they had set up TVs, and it was just like if you didn't want to go to class and you wanted to go to the lecture hall, you could go. And I maybe went for a few minutes to like check it, but then like just fucked off and went to the skate park for the rest of the day. But like the school administration was full on, like if you're too emotional to like sit through class, like you can just go down and watch it live.
Oh, that's gonna help.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I remember like checking in on it, but it was just like, okay, I saw enough. Like afternoon, like there's not much new information. They're just replaying the buildings falling over and over again.
So like how soon after did they pin it on Osama bin Laden? Like was it right away?
I
Do you know anything about that?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they
Because,
knew right
like,
away. It was just like
I think they knew before.
they knew
Yeah,
before.
that's-
Yeah,
that's the
exactly. It was
theory.
like the government knew before. They knew during. It was just like CNN was like behind the times, which is like crazy when you look at the juxtaposition of like today, where they're just like pulling fucking tweets off the goddamn internet and reporting that is like, and that leads to a lot of like, here, we're gonna go on a goddamn sidebar, like the Sandy Hook allegedly a hoax thing.
Yeah.
Because like right away, like, oh, they're reporting there's multiple shooters, there are multiple, like there's a shotgun involved. But that's because CNN is just pulling shit off Twitter that is not verified in any way. That's just like someone's like thinking like, oh, I saw this, and someone else wrote, I saw this. So then they're like, oh, there must be two shooters. And then when it all comes out, like there's only one shooter, you go back to the news coverage, and it's like, well, the news coverage of the event live doesn't match the story. But that's because the fucking CNN is just grabbing shit off goddamn Twitter. Like, that's not an actual source. And you compare that back to, like, 1968 when, like, Kennedy got shot. Like, they didn't report he died for, like, 3 hours. Because they wanted,
Dan
like, the
Rather
goddamn,
or
like,
nothing.
medical, like, coroner to, like, sign off, like, the president died. Like, they're not just, like, ripping that off Twitter. Like, oh, yeah, his head exploded and all this other stuff.
Yeah, piecing it together.
Like, the media is just, like, slowly changing. And 2001, when this happened, was kind of in that dark ages.
It was before. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
they
was
didn't
definitely
really
just
know what
before.
was going on, but
even just the fact that like not everybody had a cell phone, but there's enough videos of 9/11 that it's not JFK's one
camera angle.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, or the moon, one angle, or whatever else, Can't think of anything else.
But that morning, there was like scheduled war games that were supposed to happen, right?
Very
and
skeptical.
the military controllers were confused as to whether this was part of that. Part of the war games, or whether it was really taking place. And I guess it probably didn't take long for them to figure out. But
one plane.
But like at the time, it was like definitely for an hour, because from when the North Towers hit to when the Pentagon was hit, there was still confusion. right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to say roughly an hour. I don't know how long it actually was between the two, but it was like North Tower,
yeah.
South Tower, Pentagon.
I think it all happened within a half hour, but I think
roughly,
the tower falling. It took about an hour for them.
Yeah, it took a
Yeah,
while.
it wasn't very long. That's
No.
not that long. An hour? Like
No.
that's part of like the the inconsistencies with whether or not it was, or the theory that it might have been a controlled demolition, because there's built like it. There the tower, North Tower, South Tower, and
Tower 7.
World Tower 7 are the only 3 towers in history of skyscrapers that have ever fallen because of damage or fire.
Yeah.
On their own.
Over
and it was
3/4 of the way to the top, too. Not just the bottom.
And free fall. Free falling.
Yeah.
Like, there's no obstruction. Like, it's
that
free
video of
falling.
Tower 7 is fucking scary because it looks like it falls from the bottom. And there is like, okay, because towers 1 and 2 fell, like there could have been a ton of debris and burning wreckage at the bottom.
Sure, yeah.
But 7 looks like it's a demolition.
Well, there's eyewitness. There's one really notable eyewitness report of a guy who got trapped in the building. It was 2 people left in the building. He had something to do. I don't know what. He basically got to work and they said, "Okay, you have to go over to World Trade Center 7 for blah blah blah. You have to do this thing." So him and this other guy go over there. They get in there. They realize everyone's been evacuated. No one's in there. And he said they were up. They made it to like the 20-something floor, and they were like, "Okay, this is fucked. We got to go." So they started walking down, and they got to a point and started hearing explosions going off, and felt the heat. And then the floor let go, and they end up getting trapped in that building.
Wow.
So, and crazy thing about this, I didn't think we were going to get into this right away, but crazy thing about that guy is they interviewed him shortly after he was, like, there's a whole hours and hours of trying to be rescued by firefighters while the other buildings are collapsing. They finally get him out. News reporter interviews him. He gives his kind of like eyewitness testimony. Years later, there's like the report comes out, I don't know, the legitimate report that the government did, whatever company it was, comes out. 2 days before that guy gets admitted to the hospital and fucking dies. 2 days before the report comes out, and the report says there was no eyewitness accounts of of World Trade Center 7.
It's sketchy. It's for sure sketchy.
That guy was fucking suicided, man.
Yeah.
Like, he was in good health. There's no reports of him being anything but good health, and he was just like mysteriously admitted to the hospital and died 2 days before that report came out.
Yep.
And there's 2 videos online of him talking about it, and like it's pretty fucked up.
I think we're like jumping a million steps ahead, and I wanted to go through a lot of like chronological events that day.
We should, yeah.
We should, but we're not going to, because that's not the way the show works.
Yeah.
But I'm full on board that the U.S. government was not complicit, but they were like allowing this to happen.
Allowing it, yeah.
Because they wanted a war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
They
same
wanted
thing
justification.
with 4 years later when weapons of mass destruction with Saddam came through.
Yep.
It's like there's just way too much money to be made going to war. That, okay, there's this terrorist thing coming through. They do the math, and it's like, okay, like 2,000 people will die, but we're going to make $3 trillion a year in this war effort.
Plus that oil.
Plus the oil.
Yeah.
Plus the opium. Plus the entire like
Military
U.S. population rah-rahing behind this effort. It's not a Vietnam situation. Like, this is a just
Everyone's
war.
on board.
Yeah.
At least for the first little bit. Then it got like a little out of
it's
control.
still going on now. It's fucking
It's still going on.
2018, and they're still in goddamn Afghanistan,
I know.
wherever the hell it is.
I know. Afghanistan, yeah.
Wherever the hell that is. Maybe that's where I'll end up because I'm banned from Europe.
Because you're not allowed back in Europe, for sure.
Throwback to last week.
Like, there's just too much money to be made for all these people involved to like stay at war.
Yeah. I feel like it was like they definitely knew. I think if you remember that Remember, there's that video of Bush sitting, reading books to kids, or he's not
in a
reading,
schoolroom.
Yeah,
he was reading,
and when he gets told about it, and he just kind of sits there and doesn't do
Dead face.
anything.
Yeah.
I felt like it to me. That just looked like that guilty, not the guilty look, but it was the like, oh shit, like.
Apparently, he already knew. And
Yeah.
that video that you're speaking of, it's like they told him that the tower fell or the Pentagon was hit. It was like events had already taken place, and he walked into that schoolroom and just pretended like nothing was going on. Like, don't you think
was
like
sitting
maybe
down.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like
No, but he knew before he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
second time, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I kind of like I say, I feel like I don't think America orchestrated it and did anything hoax wise with that, but I do believe that like they knew about it beforehand, and like RJ said, that they were just like gonna use it. But I don't feel like they knew to the point where it's like, hey, it's happening at 9/11 at 9 o'clock. I feel like
I think they
like,
did,
hey,
and you're letting them off too easy. Like there's a
Tower 7.
Like Tower 7.
7.
They like turned alarm systems off, evacuated buildings, had scheduled tests and scheduled maintenance for like in all these areas that were affected.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously not the two, the North Tower and South Tower. A lot of people perished there, and I don't know that they like had anything set up to warn these people. But like Building 7 was like, it's like, what is it, like CIA and
there's the
fucking
Federal
US
Reserve
Customs
has an
and
office
shit.
there.
Federal Reserve
It always
and
goes back
stuff,
to the
and-
goddamn Federal Reserve, which is like this not.
Every
It's
time.
called the Federal Reserve, but it controls the like currency in the United States.
Mhm.
And there's this like long history of conspiracies, like even JFK again, back to he tried to like shut down the Federal Reserve and make
Too
it
much wine.
too much of a lot of things today. JFK like went out and said like I'm gonna like look into the Federal Reserve, and this like independent body that oversees our banking like doesn't make sense. And then he dies within a week of making that statement. And now here we are in 2001, and there was some kind of loan that was due or something. I'm sure I should have done more research, but this is pretty much not experts, not all the way experts.
Not full
But
blown, yeah.
there was an event that took place that week that was significant, that would have like exposed how inflation is a completely manipulated thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 9/11 happens, and then all of a sudden all the banking records are gone because they were housed in that particular office that if you just YouTube Tower 7, it's really hard to argue that that doesn't look like a demolition. Like the building falls from the goddamn
buildings
bottom.
that came down.
Floor by floor.
There are other, like the World Trade Center building 3, 5, 6, maybe other ones. They were all damaged, like maybe
28.
Pretty much all the buildings.
They were significantly damaged from debris, and none of them came down.
No.
They didn't come down. Like they were
floor by floor,
pretty
no
fucked
less.
up. And
did they all have the same architect, or is this like you?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
It's like maybe it was just like the one guy gets exposed as the shitty architect. Like all these other buildings stayed up, Luke. What the fuck?
Hey, Dylan,
yours came down.
Tower 7.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking, we were talking about the Building 7. Building 6 is also another one of those fucking heated things. Heated topics. Like that was where the US Customs and the ATF and fucking God knows what else was in there. But like that building didn't come down. There was just like a fucking massive hole through the center of it. Like like 10 floors or whatever of the building. Just this massive fucking hole through the entire building. And when they searched it after the fact, like the vault was open, it was empty. There's like speculation that Flight 93 that landed in the field was supposed to hit that, and
landed.
So the bomb landed in the field. Yeah, which they don't have no debris. There's no fucking debris.
This might be a Mandela effect, but I full remember watching from the high school that day on the TV, and they were openly saying it was shot down by fighter jets.
I can also back up your Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Because I also remember that being something that was reported that day.
Yeah,
that I took as
I
gold.
vaguely do too.
And then, to the point again, the naive child that I was.
Yeah.
When I found out later that like Flight 93, that all the people rallied together and saved the plane. Yeah. I just assumed there was another plane that went down. You know, like I thought then there was 5 planes because it was like Pentagon, 2 World Trade Center, and the one that got fucking shot by the missile, and now this like heroic we saved the day one. And it wasn't until like way later that I finally clued in on because these are things you can't openly ask people because you look like a fucking idiot, right? So you just kind of figure it out yourself through
over time,
internet, and but I totally remember that the Flight 93 got shot down early on. Mm-hmm. That was the narrative. But again, like you're saying, the shittiness with reporting, like I don't know.
But that's not like only, where in that building 6, building 6, where it's like financial records. Yeah. So that kind of ties into what RJ was saying there about them wanting to destroy.
But like now, 97 being shut down. Sorry, real quick. And you're saying, like, it's the shittiness of 2001 before, like, information is at its, like, peak shareability. Like, that gives me credit to, like, they're not going to say this flight got shot down by a U.S. fighter jet unless they know that's what happened.
But it didn't happen. All the jets were in North Carolina.
But years...
Like, there was nothing.
Hours later, they changed the story to that flight just crashed on its own, and then days or weeks later, they're like releasing these like alleged like phone calls that say like, oh, there was a hero on board that charged the cockpit and steered it into the ground before it could take any more innocent lives.
That's the official story now. Right?
Yeah, that's the story now. But like day one, it was shot down by U.S. fighter jets.
Yeah,
and I feel like because of the way that information was blurry, like. There's no way that they could jump to that conclusion unless that's what actually happened, and then there was like a bit of a cover up. Like change that. Mm-hmm. Like don't say that the U.S. fucking shot this thing down just because it wasn't responding. Like every other flight, that happened that morning was like, we're not being taken over by terrorists, and Flight 97 just wasn't responding to radio control, so they shot it down.
Yeah, so we took that.
That looks a little like, okay, maybe you jumped the fucking gun a little bit.
Sketchy.
Yeah, it's a little bit sketchy. Like, okay, 2 planes crashed. They shoot out like mass radio communication, like, hey, is anyone else taken over by terrorists? And one plane didn't respond, and then you shot it down, and they're like, maybe it crashed on its own. Yeah, tell, what's that fucking weird guy with the white hair on CNN?
Yeah.
Anderson. Tell Anderson that it crashed on its own.
Yeah. But, like, they didn't find any, like parts of the plane that were identifiable as that flight. They didn't find any fucking bodies. Nothing.
If it crashed on its own, it did a,
amazing job.
A nosedive, like a 90-degree nosedive straight into the ground, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
But the crater wasn't even that big.
That's
like
what they say.
Landing site.
That's what they say, but like...
But the landing site wasn't big enough. Like, it just wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing that bugs me about that one is, like, one of the shows I watched to research for this, it was, like, talking about... It was all about, like, using DNA to identify all the crazy little bone particles that they had found. And they found like part of the engine in between like 2, I don't know if it was like the engine or part of like the landing gear, but they found like this crazy piece of like plane in between 2 buildings, like past the ground zero, right? So like plane hit and this piece like flew out, and it's stuck in between these buildings, and they can't really get it out, and they're just gonna leave it there because it's there, and it's like, so even like, you know, like 8 years after the fact, they find this piece of airplane and they can identify it to that crash. But that Flight 93, there's like nothing at all. Like it was just a black hole.
Black.
Like it makes sense that it got shot out of the sky. Like it makes more sense than it.
But
crashing into the earth.
if it got shot out of the sky, why would there be like if it just blew up? I don't know. You know, like if it was blown up beforehand. Mm-hmm. But there was nothing. Like there was nothing to be found of that.
Because of the war games that were scheduled that day, I guess like they did have like jets on standby for instances like this. Like the FAA had fucking, you know, jets on order in case anything like this would happen, but they are all scattered throughout the country, participating in the war games that were scheduled for that day. So there was nothing, like there was no way to prevent that from their point of view. That's kind of like, you know, the official narrative.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is also covering their own ass, just because there was like 20 to like 35 minutes. Again, if we did any more specific research, we would know the time. But between Tower 1 and 2 being hit, like there was quite a bit of time that...
Maybe within an hour.
No, it was like 20 minutes between them getting hit.
But there's enough time that they could have like realized like something was up.
Yeah, but
I think they knew.
I think that's back to like I think they knew, and that's why I think they put out these things like, oh, there was war games going on. That's why we didn't react in time.
Yeah, they got a paper trail to kind of...
Well, but even, like, I'm sure they would have, like, you know, plane hits a building. They would be like, okay, wait a minute. Like, let's... There would probably be that, like, call out to be like, hey, like, let's stay out of this area. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying, like, ground all flights, but I'm pretty sure that they would probably...
They should ground all flights.
That came later.
They fucking ground flights for, like, little bits of rain and frost. Like, they would ground it for, like, impact, right?
One time
but there is a timeline. There's a timeline like, published, and all those flights did leave within, like, a handful of minutes from one another. So they were already in the air.
Yeah, but you could ground them.
So, like, I think even then, it's like you're
if
at the mercy of it.
If a plane crashes into a building, you ground the flight.
But but still, like we were saying earlier, though, it's like you send that distress call out where it's like, hey, everybody, like, you know, get down.
All hands on deck.
Oh, everybody get down, like, let me know that you hear this over and out, and then, like, 99 of 100 planes respond, and then it's like, whoa, well, why didn't Flight 108? You know, why didn't they respond? And then boom, second, like 20 minutes. Like, it seems like a lot of time, but
that's a long time for not responding to, hey, this plane that's supposed to be flying at 30,000 feet, flying at like 800 feet, crashed into a building. Is everyone else, you know, send your location, and like multiple planes are not responding to be like, hey guys, like please respond. Like, it's not cool. Hey, it looks like you're heading to Washington, D.C., man. Like, you're supposed to be going to L.A. What's going on, dude?
Dave's not here,
like,
man.
they fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So what do you do, though?
Shoot him down like they did that one over Pennsylvania. Yeah. And they changed it to, like, oh, yeah, there was a hero on board that charged the cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to the Mandela thing, though. Like, it could be the Mandela effect creeping in, or it could just be poor memory, or just, you know, I want to believe something. But I can remember seeing footage of the plane, quote-unquote plane.
It was a plane.
No, hitting the Pentagon.
Okay.
And I remember seeing the video live that day that you cannot find that camera angle or that video anywhere on the internet now. There's like fucking one poor ass video. It's like 5 frames from 2 different angles of something hitting the Pentagon. That day I seen something different. Like I don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was not a plane. I'm saying there was definitely a different video that I fucking seen that day. Because when we had done research for this, and in the past years, you know, looking into it and stuff, and finding it interesting, the whole, like, you know, fucking American involvement in this, like, that video is nowhere to be found. The one that I saw that day.
The only video I've ever saw of the Pentagon getting hit was, like, the one that's, like, the security footage.
Yeah,
from
that's the only one.
That's the only one.
From, like, the booth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you that it's not, if it's a plane, it wasn't a very big plane that hit it.
There's so much bullshit, like, oh, you know, the reason why the whole entry hole and exit hole wasn't, you know, as big as a plane, or we didn't find the stuff, is because it hit the ground first. And there's like no evidence that it hit the ground first. The fucking Pentagon lawn is perfectly manicured.
Yeah,
I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this aspect, but there's just so many questions that get raised. Okay, for the first question is, like, I've seen that video. If you Google plane hits Pentagon 9/11, it looks 100% like a fucking missile from this, you know, like the guard booth, like on the road. Like, it's a really skinny missile that hits the building. It looks like a fucking missile. Yeah. But then my, like, counter question is, like, but there is a plane that's unaccounted for then. Like, if that was a missile, then there is a plane that is missing.
Yeah.
So I lean toward that's a missile. I lean toward that was a plane.
Okay.
But that plane hit the Pentagon and did minimal damage versus two planes hit the World Trade Centers and went all the way through those buildings and crashed them to the ground.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing.
It's funny, though, that Pentagon was under construction. And that
wing,
part where the plane hit
specific
was, like,
wing was under construction, and there was not a lot of people there.
And that was reinforced to withstand an attack, like that exact wing.
I remember I seen a show on that exact thing, and also the way that the Pentagon's made. It's like it's all in rows.
It's like layered. Yeah, it's like a layer,
like, and there's
like
layer. It's almost like there's oxygen pockets.
Yeah, totally.
It's
courtyard
not just,
type thing.
Yeah, it's not just like one hard exterior wall filled with, like, drywall. It's like there's a wall, and then there's 20 feet and another thick ass wall. 10, 15 feet, another thick ass wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it didn't, and it did, like, they just reinforced it. But I mean, same deal. Like, either the people that built
how
that
many
place
floors
are
is the World
geniuses.
Trade Center? 100 and something?
Like a billion.
Yeah.
But you would think that the floors are a billion.
Give or take a couple hundred.
Let's meet in the middle and say it's 1,000 floors high. 1,000
no, it's not.
floors up,
it's
it
not.
has to be fucking strong as shit. Otherwise, the thing's gonna bend in half.
Those buildings, the internal part of the building was all concrete. It was a giant concrete pillar with the building built like the
around it.
Where you would walk is like square around the concrete. Yeah. It's a giant 100-story concrete pillar.
And they say
and it just collapsed.
They built it that, like, the elevators only would go like 15 to 20 floors at a time, and then you had to get out and get a new elevator and go up. And that kind of thing was, like, in theory, so that there was not someone taking the elevator from floor 1 to floor 1,000, and it would take a year stopping every floor. Like, there's some, like, different expresses ones. But also, like, structurally, like, there's not a single elevator, like, tube that's going all the way from the top to the bottom, like you're saying, Mikey. Like, the whole middle of it is fucking concrete. It's not a straw all the way to the top. Like, it's sectional.
Yeah. Yeah, for structural integrity.
But a plane hit that, and the whole fucking thing fell down, versus a plane hit the Pentagon and minimal damage.
They only made it through one wall.
Yeah, they didn't even evacuate. They're like, okay, you know, Roswell project on the other side of the building, just keep going.
There's like a major general that has testified, or, you know, has a testimony out there that said that all the I guess the alarm system and sensors were all turned off that day at the Pentagon. And there's also, like, video that they've sourced from, like, local businesses where they've mapped the route of the plane, right? Like, oh, it had to make this turn and come past these businesses, like a hotel and a gas station and shit. And they got the footage from, and, like, you don't see a fucking plane. Like it doesn't exist. There's no footage of this plane other than the 5 frames that they've released to the public of it actually hitting the Pentagon, like that really fucking poor angle, grainy video, security video.
Yeah.
It's just fucking strange. And there's another account of, he was like, who the fuck was he? Secretary of Transportation or something like that. And he was at the White House with Dick Cheney, and they were in some emergency operations room. And this guy, like another person affiliated with, like, you know, the higher ups, would come in and he would update Dick Cheney. Oh, the plane's 50 miles out. Oh, the plane's 30 miles out. And it got to a point, oh, the plane's 10 miles out. And the guy that was talking to Dick Cheney was like, so orders are still, like, the orders still stand? Everything's still a go?
Right.
And Dick Cheney was like, yeah, like, what else have you heard? Of course it is. And this guy is, like, overhearing this conversation. You know, the Secretary of Transportation, he's in that room. He's in that fucking closed-door room hearing this person report on how close this plane is to the Pentagon. Like, they fucking knew that this plane, you know, I mean, if it was a plane,
but this,
you know, they're
this
revving up,
also
basically.
After that one plane had hit the World Trade Center, right?
Both planes had hit the World Trade Center, yeah.
So, like, you got to think that they're, like, at this point, it's like a, hey, like,
it could be
you guys were
plane.
saying, right? Like, distress has gone out. These 2 planes have turned off their recorders. Like, how would they know?
Right.
Like, imagine, like, they would turn that shit. I guess there's radar.
Radar,
radar,
air traffic,
right?
Yeah.
Radar.
If that's a real thing.
Yeah, if that's even real.
So, like, gravity, kind of?
Yeah,
Gravity.
radar. I don't know how it works, so it's not real.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, there's just so much, like, there's so many inconsistencies, and it's just, it's a trip, man. It's a trip. Like, the American government, whether they were puppeteering this whole thing or not, like, they definitely knew some shit was going down, and they either did nothing or very little to kind of nip it in the bud, right?
To stop it, for sure.
To stop it, yeah.
Well, Cheney made, like, his fortune after 9/11.
Yeah.
He owns the, like, the concrete
Bridge or whatever.
Yeah, he owns the, like, concrete and, like, whatever you call that, like, construction company that rebuilt Afghanistan after they bombed it to shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like, how fucking crazy is that? Like, he's on the, you know, board of directors, whatever, of the company that oversees, like, rebuilding Afghanistan after he basically decided to destroy it.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the
Rebuilding
security company was somehow, like, for the World Trade Center. I don't know if it's the 2 towers or if it was Building 7 or whatever, but there's, like, a security company that's, like, affiliated, tied to Bush and the Bush family that was running security that day, or had been, you know, like, that they got that contract. And there's like the Reno company who did the renovations, I want to say in the Twin Towers. That Reno company was also affiliated, or like a branch of the company that did the investigation afterwards. And there's, like, no reports of these renos being done. Like, there's no paper trail. Like, yeah, they were there for years doing these renovations, but there's no paper trail. And like I said, the investigative company is affiliated with the people who did the renovations. It's like just a lot of fucking inconsistencies and weird shit, backdoor shit.
And it just comes down to, like, how many fucking poor, innocent lives lost.
So many.
People working that have no idea this is going on. Firefighters and police officers that sacrifice themselves to save as many people as they could.
Mm-hmm.
And completely unwilling pawns in this, like, effort to create a demand for war. Like, the more firefighters that die is best for the argument that we must go to war.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, there was a heads up to the Pentagon, like, oh, you guys are under renovation, don't come in today because we actually need you people. But for the 343, whatever it is, firefighters, like your lives are worth
Make sure you're at work
losing
today.
because it adds to the rally.
Yeah.
The justification
Yeah.
for let's invade this other country. Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah, because, like, you guys were kind of saying, like, the air traffic controllers, like, took their time responding, right? But, like,
Yeah, they were
those
confused.
firefighters,
They
definitely
running.
more so like, whatever, firefighters, police officers, both, like, as soon as it happened, it's like, shit, we gotta go, right? Like,
Yeah, they didn't hesitate.
yeah, it's not, they don't know about the war games. They don't know.
No,
about,
Fuck no.
Though they're the heroes in this whole
Yeah.
thing.
I don't know
like,
many
they were.
firefighters that can count to 75.
You're
Okay.
giving them fucking, like, you're giving them a cool 50, yeah.
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 But yeah, it's all instinct at that point, right? Like you're just going on your training and
Yeah. And you're saving people's lives. Like that's what you're.
you're going
there to
up when
do.
everybody else is
Yeah.
coming down. That's gotta be a fucking weird
Yeah.
feeling.
I guess there was like hundreds of first responders that got killed
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
in the
At
events
least
that day.
100.
Yeah.
Even
No,
months
hundreds,
after,
yeah,
all
yeah.
those poor souls that cleaned it up
Oh.
without like
Dude,
proper
All
masks.
the cancer, the people
Yeah.
who got
One-
out of that.
Yeah, it's just nuts. One fucking thing that I read that blew my fucking mind was the fire of the World Trade Centers, like the fire and like the debris, that burned for until December. It burned until the middle of
Wow.
December.
Yeah.
Like it's the longest burning fire in American history.
Yeah.
Like how fucking wild is that?
That's fucked.
And then,
Yeah.
like before they could
Longer
examine
than
any of the
Waco.
debris, way longer. Like before,
Yeah.
and less Christian too. That fire.
Waco didn't burn for very long. That's the thing with Waco.
It burned
was a
hot,
fucking
though.
flash fire. Burned hot and bright. Just like David
like,
Koреш's
before-
star.
Ooh. Shout out to your boy. Is that your boy,
Your
David?
boy.
or-
No, he's not my boy at all.
No, your boy.
no.
He's the one that's
He's
not
half
your
my boy. Waco is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
cool, but like, he's definitely
Well,
I wouldn't consider
Whatever,
him
they
my
had
wasn't-
a
boy.
bunch of
He
guns.
wasn't
They
evil.
lived in
He
Utopia.
wasn't evil.
He
Yeah.
was not evil.
Oh, he was evil.
He
as
wasn't
fuck.
evil.
It wasn't
No,
a
he
Jonestown
wasn't.
situation or a fucking Heaven's
I mean,
Gate.
He was banging
It was-
underage girls and knocking them up, but
Who
like
doesn't?
that's probably well, that's probably the most. Who doesn't? That's a loaded question.
No, guys, it was just being part of the church, right?
Yeah.
At that
It's a
point,
religious
Yeah.
it
belief.
was Catholic, Christian
I mean-
undertones to Waco, the Branch
Yeah,
Davidians.
the ethics are definitely questionable.
I feel like that's an episode for another day.
That's
Yeah,
next
for
week.
sure.
Probably
And we gotta
stay
talk about-
focused.
We got to talk about Sandy Hook again too, because
That's
there's
an
some shit about
episode.
that. Yeah,
I was
But the
hard
fucking-
on, hoax.
I would like to look more into it, but it's definitely
Did it
interesting.
get
Yeah.
its hooks in you? Did it?
Yeah.
I remember like a week
Yeah,
after
dude.
that, like my boy, shout out to Andy, came into work and he was like big on like, here's a
Didn't happen.
PowerPoint presentation. He convinced me.
Lock
Yeah,
the
well,
doors
He
Yeah.
had a fucking PowerPoint. Like he
was,
put together a
like,
PowerPoint.
prepared
out of his
way
backpack.
more than we are.
Wow.
Here is this.
We should
here's
get him on
that,
here.
Here is this. Again, there was a goddamn like similar like drill going on, like one state or whatever county over, like a
Mhm.
school shooting like practice, so that when
Yeah.
the orders or the report came in, like, oh, there's a school shooting, like there's like enough confusion going on that first responders didn't go right away. Like this fucking sketchy as shit.
But when you think about that and 9/11 and all the shit that happened then, it's like that's classified information. Like compared to the Sandy Hook
Yeah.
thing, like that might not be classified information. Like maybe if you could access public records, you could figure that out. But there's no fucking way you could do that about 9/11 and
No.
whether the states were holding war games.
Nice segue.
I don't think we're totally derailing and going on Sandy Hook now. I'm not all the way
Sandy
like
Hook.
dick in like Alex Jones is that the whole thing is a hoax, but I do
Yeah.
feel like there was some type of political motivation that like the Democratic government was like, this is a tool to like get gun control under control.
Yeah, it's
If
undeniable.
a fucking kindergarten class gets shot up, then the whole nation's going to agree we got to get gun control like dialed in.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
it's
then that didn't
undeniable.
happen, 'cause
Like,
no
there's
one
some
actually
motive
fucking
there.
cared.
I disagree. Why would they think that would change anything?
Because it's like children being shot.
Yeah, but it's America.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what
but that
happened.
They
tugs
don't
your
give a
heartstrings.
No
fuck
one
at
really
all. It's
cared.
their guns. You can't take their guns
Can't
from
take
them.
their
Take their
guns.
kids.
Yeah.
Take their
You can't
kids, not
abort a
their
kid.
guns.
You can't abort a child in America, but if you don't like them, you can just send them to school.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Okay, let's get
Heavy,
back.
man.
That's another episode.
not
You're
heavy,
right,
that's-
but I don't think you're totally
That's
wrong.
America.
No.
You're not
No.
wrong,
No.
but I do
You're not
feel
wrong.
like the conspiracy was in place, that there was a bit of a democratic, like, political move involved in
An agenda.
an agenda. Like, this is the event, and the same thing happened again in Las Vegas, where it's like, we're gonna fucking shoot all these country music fans. So it's like the Republican side is the only people that are being affected by like lack of gun control. Like, this will show you that we need to like dial this in. And again, America's like, fuck it.
More
I want the
guns.
gun.
If only they had more guns on 9/11.
We need more guns at 9/11 on all planes,
Fuck.
and then people
Yeah.
couldn't like hijack a plane with a fucking box cutter.
That's
Well, there
true.
was talk to that after the case, right? Or after the fact
Still is.
of like,
There still
yeah,
is.
yeah, having
Allegedly,
more air
there's a U.S.
marshals
marshal
or-
on every flight
Yeah.
that happens in the U.S., but
yeah.
we'll never know.
Well, you're not supposed to, right? Yeah.
Even
Even
like
then, you're
hijacking a plane with a box cutter seems like pretty fucking suspect.
Yeah.
Like, a box cutter's a pretty shitty knife.
Like, I could take someone down with a box
I
cutter.
think
Fuck yeah.
you would get cut for
Yeah.
sure, but you're not going to
Who
get like
cares?
fatally
Yeah.
killed by a box cutter.
I mean, the odds are 50-50,
50-50.
right? But still, like,
I'm not going to
You
sit
get
in
a
my
punch
seat
in.
and await a pending doom. Well, there's a box cutter separating me from not dying.
yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. I don't like. Can you get stabbed by like?
No,
Worst
there's only
case
sharpness on the
scenario.
bottom. You're going to get scratched.
Yeah, you're slicing. You're slicing, right?
Like,
don't
if
know,
he
they're
got you
so
in the neck or your Achilles.
Oh,
maybe.
clearly, yeah.
That's it.
But
if they
If
get
you went
to
at
the
him
neck,
like
that's
this
it.
and like took it in the neck. Yeah,
Ran
you're
out
done.
of neck
But
first.
If they hit anywhere
I
else,
don't
that
know.
fucking blade's gonna break off. Like, those things are so flimsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's definitely like if you just got up and like one of you might get it bad, and then
Yeah.
you know
If two
You
people got on either side, that
Easy.
motherfucker
Yeah.
would be on the
someone's
ground
gonna
for
get
sure.
killed for sure. But you're also all not gonna die.
You're all not gonna just
Yeah, yeah.
sit there with your seatbelt on, waiting to go into a building.
But then again, you do all that,
For the
then you get
greater
hit
good.
by a missile anyways. So
Oh. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
there's
post-mortem, they
potential for
change
that,
the
eh?
story and like pick out some like lottery winner. Like, here's Mark Davis, who actually
Mm-hmm.
got up off his ass and fought the guy, and then they nosedived into the ground. He's an American hero.
yeah.
The one thing that
Bury him
gets
in
me,
Arlington.
I was starting to kind of,
One
before
thing.
we got into Sandy Hook, well, it's like the underlying thing. It's like there's massive fucking terrorist attack happens, this, world-changing event, and they don't allow engineers or anybody that has, any fucking, well, anybody that could be any use as far as investigation goes. They don't let any of those people at the debris or the rubble. They fucking clean it up and they ship it overseas right away. Like, that was that's what they did. They didn't let any engineers get to fucking ground zero or actually.
Did they? Because the thing I watched last night said that they just sent it like a couple counties over. I think it was in
That's
New
what they
Jersey.
said.
Everything I read or heard was that they shipped it overseas. But either way, like, they got it out of there and they didn't let anybody do, anything that would have been of any benefit to find out, like, how these buildings came down. Like, because there's people that want to know
Yeah.
for peace
No,
of mind.
that's not true. They definitely.
The people
have.
did studies after, but not of, like, they weren't allowed
Yeah.
to go to the site and study the debris.
See, because I feel like this is just my own, like, the last couple days, like, I just watched a couple documentaries on 9/11, and I feel like, for whatever reason, 2 of them were all about the structural integrity of the fucking buildings, and I just found it boring, right? Like it's just
they talked about the thermite and stuff.
Yeah, or not, like it wasn't even hoaxy. It was just kind of like this is how it happened. Like all the engine fuel got on the floor basically and just burned, and like they showed pictures where it was like the whole floor you could see was just burning. Like, you know, if they took a picture of the corner, you could see like 2 angles of the floors, and it was like all just on fire, right? And it's like it burned at this temperature, melting points, right? Like for so long.
But if there's people asking questions, you think that they would try to accommodate some like in some way so that people could get these answers. Like have the engineers and the people who are professionals go and survey this and investigate this. People who have a better understanding, better than the firefighters and policemen and whoever else is on the ground cleaning it up.
My question,
like there's already questions like, did the buildings collapse on their own, or was it a controlled demolition? Like that question was raised right away. Away.
My question is the length of time that the alleged fuel burned. We all know when you throw gasoline on a fire, for example, like we grew up in Canada, we have lots of bonfires. You throw gasoline on a fire, it's like 1 second of, and then it kind of like, it supercharges it, but the gasoline burns really fucking quick. Jet fuel burns way faster than gasoline.
Wow.
If gasoline burns faster than jet fuel, they'd use gasoline in a fucking jet. So the idea that this floor was just covered in jet fuel for half an hour burning just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think there'd be a larger initial explosion. Like, there's like, okay, like this plane was supposed to go from Boston to LA, so it's full of fuel. I think that initial explosion would be gigantic. Like, how is there so much leftover like jet fuel that it's covering the building and burning for half an hour?
Well, like, there's that, you know,
burn. They were big. They were like gas that it just like sits there.
Yeah, no, they were like definitely like they picked flights. The jets for
there was a lot. Yeah,
right?
I'm with you on that. I'm just saying, like, how is there so much fuel
Boston
that it sits
to New York?
On the,
that's
like,
not a lot.
Floors for
that's
half an hour burning?
For sure, I don't know how jet fuel works.
Or longer.
I don't even know how
probably
combustible engines work.
I don't know either, but I feel like jet fuel is going to burn hotter and faster than gasoline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would use
hotter, hotter
though,
right?
So hotter. I don't know about faster, but hotter for sure.
I rest my case.
I was on a flight today, and when we were like, you know, the captain like clicks in and he says like, we're at 30,000 feet, flying at 300, or I think he said 800 kilometers an hour. And I was just like, damn, that's really fast.
That is fast.
Yeah, well.
Like, that is because the jet fuel burns so much fucking hotter that it can make the engine burn faster and stronger.
Before we get into anything, this is like like Mike, earlier you were talking about like Dick Cheney being at the Pentagon and then someone telling him like, oh, like they're 20
at the
minutes
White House.
Out. They're 10 minutes out, whatever, right? That's where I only think, like, I think that story's bugged, because it's like, they're going, like, how fast are they going? 800 kilometers an hour? Like, oh, they're 10 minutes out. By the time you got that knowledge and passed it on, it's like, they're knocking on the front door.
You know? but you're saying you don't believe that, but this is coming from, a testimony of the fucking security transportation guy or whatever.
Okay.
You know, Secretary of Transportation. I'm not saying there was minutes between each fucking, you know, relay of the
I get what you're saying, but
I know,
when that shit's going down, like, you know, when you're fucking sitting in there in 9/11 and you're drinking your coffee at the World Trade Center and it's just like, fuck, that plane's close.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you do? It's not like you're gonna, you can try to get down the stairs. It's not gonna happen.
Well, back to the poor innocent survivors. Like I was saying, the day of, I listened to like Howard Stern in art class. Maybe a year ago, I think it was last year. Like, I just you can just YouTube the Howard Stern show from 9/11, and they have the full 5-hour broadcast, and you can watch it in real time, and it's terrifying how that first hour, everyone thought this was just an accident and like human error, and someone just crashed into a building, they were flying too low. And it wasn't until the second plane hit that people started no, this is an attack. Like, this is serious. And at the time, like, Al-Qaeda and whatever, like, weren't words. Like, no one knew what it was.
Not
so
really, no.
If you watch it back, like that show that I listened to in real time in 2001, and I watched it last year, 2017, just for fun, it's like really like scary that nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Like, there's no Twitter, there's no Facebook, there's no way to communicate with each other other than through like the news is on TV, and the news isn't reporting shit. Like, they just have a live feed on, and they're saying, hey, a plane crashed. Like, no one knew what size the plane was. No one knew if it was
Still
just
burning.
like, you know, like a weekend warrior. Like, I just got my plane fucking certification and I crashed. No one knew if it was a 747. No one knew anything for an hour.
No, the first reports were that it was a Cessna.
Yeah,
like
no one
like
knew
a small
anything.
Passenger plane. Yeah.
So
Private
the kind of person that I am and the kind of person you two are, I know for sure we would not be the people to evacuate. I for sure remember the two of you. We went to a New Year's Eve fucking NoFX concert in 2012, and after the concert we go back to the hotel room trying to get to sleep. It's like 4 a.m. and the fire alarm goes off, and the three of us just say fuck that fire alarm, like we're staying in bed. And we made the executive decision, like fuck the fire alarm,
I wasn't
we're staying
sober.
in bed.
No,
I definitely wasn't sober.
No, like
I was. Yeah.
if this building is burning down, we're going down with it because we're not getting up because it's too fucking cold out. This is Montreal, Canada.
Just put wet towels under the door.
We didn't do that. We just all stayed in bed. We all looked at each other and said, fuck it, we're staying in bed.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah. Fuck
Yeah,
that
so if
alarm.
I'm on,
see,
like,
but I
floor
knew in my heart.
12
I knew in
of
my
the-
heart it was bunk. That's why I didn't fucking
Exactly.
do anything.
That's the way I always think.
Yeah.
If I'm on
Yeah.
floor 12
Yeah.
of the World
Yeah.
Trade Center and I'm like listening to my radio and it's like a Cessna crashed into it, I'm probably staying. Actually, because I'm at work.
don't know.
Are
I'm
you
on
in the
bail.
building that just got hit? Or
Yeah,
are you
he's
in
saying
the other
we're
one?
in the building.
We're in
That
the
doesn't
building.
feel like you would know
I
if it was
wouldn't
a
think it was a
Cessna.
big deal though. Like the first reports were like, "This is a Cessna. It's an accident."
It's an accident.
If you're in
yeah.
building 2, like not even the building that got crashed into, like, are
Yeah.
you gonna like? I have
No,
to
you're just sipping
evacuate and
your
be
coffee,
with my
like-
family.
God,
Yeah,
that other
yeah.
plane looks real close.
Oh,
You
no.
know?
I think a lot of people stayed there because of like the media just like dragged their ass on it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And like, I
And
don't
also
know.
evacuating 100 floors too.
Oh,
even
fuck.
if they
that would
did
take forever to get on
leave,
those stairs.
it would take forever. Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, like even seeing the videos of like the first plane had already hit, and there's like footage of people, like a street level footage, and with their cameras, and they're like panning around, they're looking at the buildings, and all of a sudden, boom, the second plane comes in. It's like
Right.
then it was like, okay, it's fucking on, like
Yeah.
some shit is going down. But like you could hear it, like the difference in the people's voices, their tone. It's like, holy shit, the first, like, you know, it's burning, the first plane hit, holy shit, like, that's wild, hope everyone's okay. And then the second plane hits and it's like fucking hysteria.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's this really cool fucking documentary that me and the roommate watched where it was like you could fucking there was no narration at all through the whole
Okay.
movie. It was just different clips put together in the timeline of 9/11.
Like of people's clips, like first
Yeah.
hand account kind of thing.
Yeah, and just that, like, the, you know, it's like the first one hits, and it's, you know, it's cool. It's, people are filming it, and, like, there's, like, I can still remember this one where it was, like, they were a couple blocks down the street from 9/11, almost kind of looking up at it in their own condo apartment kind of thing.
Yeah,
And they were talking about stuff and, you know, whatever. Like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, I'm going to sell this film to, you know, to TMZ. Like, we got this, babe. You and me forever. And then the next fucking plane hits. And it's like me watching it. It was just this like terror where like they get scared, where it's like a holy fuck, we need to get out of here. And their video is them running to their fucking elevator. And when they're in the elevator, there's other people that are in the elevator
freaking
also
out.
Just like, did you just watch that? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it was a really cool, and
even
getting it
watching
all
the
through the
videos,
news cycles, right? Like, it was very interesting.
Even watching the videos in preparation for this, and like reading stuff over the course of the week, I was getting sick every day. Like my stomach would turn, I was just like feeling queasy, and it's not a good thing. Even to relive that and watch the stuff 17 years later, like
the people jumping from the buildings is so fucking heartbreaking.
Oh fuck.
I watched
they
few
put the picture on Time magazine, eh?
Yeah.
Like on the cover of Time magazine.
The dude praying?
I don't know if he was praying like the falling man or
I watched a few like alternate angles. You just type like 9/11 alternate angle into YouTube, and it's just like people on, like you're saying, like down on the street just filming the first building burning because they're like, whoa, it's burning. It's not a big deal though, because it was reported as a goddamn Cessna. And then the second plane hits, and then there's just chaos. And then you just see people falling from the buildings, and it's just like the people on the street are giving this real-time commentary of like, those are people jumping. And there's just like this somber, like, not a conversation, it's just like statements like, oh my God, there's another one. That's a woman. There's another one. Jesus. And it's just like these people like jumping from the top, and it's like, can you imagine that stairway filled with thousands of people trying to get down? And if you're above the crash site, like, there's no way you're getting down. Like,
that's just it. Yeah.
No. If you go to the top, it's completely smoke filled. Like, you're not getting any air. Like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying people were actually getting sucked out of there because of pressure and wind and all that crap too.
Maybe.
Like,
yeah.
Trying to get air and then like
I mean, like if you were in those floors that got hit, like you're not living, you're not surviving that at all.
No,
and like you were saying, like I think I don't know. I've seen that the Praying Man is what like it was on Time magazine where like it's just this very somber, like he's got his hands in like
he's like upside down or something.
Yeah, no, I think he's right side up and he's praying on his knees. But
I'm thinking of something else then.
I've also seen a thing where like they show where it's just like, oh yeah, like this picture is like the reason why they picked it is because he's in that position. But like what you don't know is that this is picture 1 or like 5 of 15, and the rest of them are not. Like the guy jumped.
He's flailing and stuff.
And it was this weird show where they actually like pinpointed who they thought it was. Like he was like this. I think he was a chef that worked in a restaurant on whatever story, right? Like above the hit that it was you weren't getting down. So
yeah, it's wild. I don't know if there's a video of it, but there's like one woman's testimony. The first plane hit, they're in their condo, they're watching it from their condo. The second plane hit, or maybe it was, I think it was when that building actually came down. When the first building came down, and it blew the windows out of their condo. And she's like, there was like 50-mile-an-hour wind coming through our building. All the dust was coming through the building. She actually had, like, whatever, a scientist or whoever fucking, like, take some of the dust samples, and they tested it and found, like, an accelerant, like that thermite stuff that people like to quote. But so like there's been studies on dust that's been recovered from like close to. So
do you think
ground zero?
This is where my confusion of it all? Like you guys, like not you guys, but the thought is that it got blown up.
That they anticipated the planes hitting it. They knew in some way, shape, or form that it was going to happen, and then they they demolished the building. Yeah,
Because
there's no reason that building should have come down within an hour either. Like buildings have burned for hours and hours and hours.
I have two
You know,
levels
which
of
ones?
conspiracy. I think
In
at the
Philadelphia,
lowest
in New
level,
York, like
the U.S. government was aware this attack was coming, and they let it happen because they knew that this was a ticket to war. And then the higher up one is more about the Federal Reserve, and Tower 7 was the like main
reason
target,
for all
I
this.
guess.
Target.
Because
So
you,
why
you
didn't
just
they hit
you
Tower
can't
7?
Google Tower 7 collapse and not see this is a demolition.
Controlled demolition. Yeah.
You've watched a million controlled demolitions on real TV. Everyone has.
Yeah.
Tower
Yeah.
7 was a controlled demolition. Like, it just
With Rashad
falls
Evans.
floor by floor from the bottom up. And it looks like the windows break, like...
Yeah.
Like, it looks
Now,
too much like this is...
But the Twin Towers fall the same way. So it's like
But
silly
so
to think that wasn't a controlled
Here's my
demolition.
question to you guys.
Hit
We've
it.
all watched
Is this
the
a
demolition
expert
video.
question part?
No.
Okay.
It's just like, have you ever watched a building fall other than a controlled demolition?
Mm,
In my
No.
expert opinion, that has never happened
maybe
before.
in
Now,
in
it
researching
happen-
this.
it fucking happens all the time.
Buildings
Yeah.
There's a
that fall
building that
down.
collapsed in
Honestly, in
Pakistan,
researching
happened a couple
this,
of years ago. It happens.
I feel
While
like
we were
buildings
while I was
burn, but they
researching
don't
this-
just
Can I
fucking
just
there
say
was-
though?
collapse.
Okay, like
oh, for fuck's
especially
sake.
especially like World Trade level. Like, you know,
Well,
we're
the highways.
talking.
Yeah.
Let's say 500 floors, right?
1,000
It's 100
floors.
something,
We have
yeah,
no
yeah.
idea.
1,000.
It's
billion
impossible.
Okay,
floors.
fine, yeah,
Never ending.
yeah.
But like, you've never seen that kind of building ever fall down before. Like, do you think it would fall over as if it was like if you stood a rake straight up and pushed it
Yeah.
over? Like, is that how it's gonna fall, or is it
Not if
I
it's
know-
blown up from
I
the
know
bottom.
gravity
I
has
think
been
if-
fucking
okay,
like
picture
called
like
into
this.
question.
If you put a cigarette like on the table vertically and lit it in the middle, is it going to collapse in on itself, or is the top of it going to turn to ash and tip over and fall over? Like, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's what's
thinking. Like,
gonna
I just physically, like, I just cannot picture it falling straight into
Now,
itself.
A cigarette
It won't.
and
It
a
can't.
billion-story building.
Of course,
are two
they're very
different
different. Of course.
And now, of course,
course.
we've also talked about the column of
Yep.
Yeah, concrete column.
in the
Solid
middle of
column. Yep.
it. Is it not possible that one of those floors burnt away, and when it collapsed, it had
The weight of everything.
a weight of everything falling straight down? Like, it's physics.
But
like,
it
it's
wouldn't
not-
fall. But I don't think it would fall like it did. It would fall and then tip,
And
possibly.
tip.
Like
That's
it
what
would
I'm
hit
Bit of
an
a tip,
obstruction.
yes.
Because there was
Straight
no
down is a little
obstruction. If you
suspect.
watch it
Yeah.
fall, there's no obstruction. It just free falls.
we
Like
all
it's
agree-
like they talk about
it's-
if you were to drop a ball in a vacuum, it falls at the same rate as that fucking building did. No obstruction.
But now, when you do a demolition, they clear every single floor of
Yep.
anything to make sure that it does that.
Yep.
Yeah.
This obviously did not happen. It's not
No.
like they were like, look it.
Except Tower
This
7.
floor don't come in today. We like for a week
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna gut you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like it's. So I don't know. Like I
think they just carefully selected where they put the charges and stuff. You know.
So you think they rigged it up?
I think Tower 7 was rigged.
I'm on 100% the feeling that there was some rigging going on. Yeah, they found thermite. It looked like a controlled demolition. Like
Okay.
independent research has shown that thermite was present in the dust. Like they got
Yeah.
microscopic with that shit. You know.
My concern.
Okay,
So sorry, my concern was, I think it's possible that the top, if we're saying there's a 1,000 floors, we have no idea. There's no way to confirm how many floors there was.
Tower of Babylon.
okay.
If the
Let's be
top
real.
300 fell on each other, because the like 7 floors, like how thick is a plane, is burning with jet fuel. Like, I just can't imagine the whole thing would fall straight down. Like, it's got a tip, or maybe just the top tips off. Like, what
Now-
is wrong with...
Yeah.
The bottom
when you
500 floors that they all just fall.
when you build a house of cards, if you build a house of cards,
Yeah.
does it not fall on itself?
There's no concrete.
Yeah, if the, all
There's
the
no,
concrete
there's no rebar. I
slabs
get
are
that, but it's
leaning
not
on
like
each
it
other,
tips
rebar,
and
no
falls.
you know.
You know, like when shit goes down in a house, it implodes on itself. I guess it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
If
I mean, if
had
you
I get what
a
you're
hit that
house of cards
motherfucker
like all
at the
taped
bottom,
to a drumstick or something,
I'd
that,
be more into that thing falling over if it was like
Hit the bottom. Yeah.
hit the bottom.
hit
That
the
bottom,
bottom. Yeah.
yeah. Where
But
I
it hits
like
in the
it's
top
like
3/4 and the whole thing falls.
2/3.
I'm not as far as Mike to think that the whole thing was a controlled demolition, but the entire building burning for at least half an hour covered in jet fuel like doesn't ring true to me.
No.
As Judge Judy
It's
says,
not going to take a
it
fucking
doesn't have the
building
ring
down.
of truth.
Yeah.
Like, I think jet fuel just burns so goddamn fast that there would
Yeah.
just be
Now,
a
what if the
way
fire,
bigger
like,
initial explosion.
That middle column. What if that middle column was compromised?
But like, just
Sure,
think
it had
of
to
jet
have been,
fuel
structurally.
burning.
Yeah.
Like, how
Had
is
to
there
have been.
so much
Had
jet
to.
fuel that for half an hour jet fuel is burning? Like, that's just my question. Again,
It's a lot.
Yeah, I
not a
don't know.
scientist. But like,
Yeah.
Now,
jet
also,
fuel burns
RJ,
really hot and really fast. I believe that, like, yeah, that's enough to take a building down, but it burned for so long.
Now here's the next point of that, like kind of
Yeah.
RJ in your favor of. I would think that jet fuel wouldn't just pool on
That's where
floor
I'm at.
125.
Yeah, there's no
It would probably seep into some shit. Elevators
no
that we've
seeping.
already
It's all
established
igniting.
don't go all the way down.
Huh.
But what if that gas is burning, gets into the elevators, falls down 50 floors?
Within an hour, honestly, within an hour,
Well,
it's documented.
And
It's
it's science
documented
fact
that
that
buildings.
maybe someone left the door open in the
The
elevator.
elevators
It's documented
don't go
that
all the
buildings
way
have
top
burned
to
for-
bottom. Like, they like only go 20
No.
floors at a time.
But
Yeah,
what
but
Bruce
so it
saying
would've
is
at
it would
least-
work its way down.
Yeah, leak down
Yeah.
enough that it's like,
Right.
hey, it's not only
No,
120
not in a
is
fucking
burning,
hour.
but
Not in 2 hours.
75.
No.
Okay.
I just can't
Not a
see
fucking
jet
chance.
fuel leaking with burning jet fuel all around it, that the leaking jet fuel is not also ignited all at the same time. Like, it
Yeah.
has to just be a way bigger explosion initially. Like, there's just no way that
How
there's,
is there
like,
any left?
fuel. Yeah, that's exactly. There's no leftover
yeah.
jet fuel after a fucking plane crashes into
Explosion.
a building.
No, there can't be. There just fucking can't be. And it's documented that fucking buildings have burned longer.
Yeah.
Like buildings that were manufactured or that were built like earlier, let's say earlier
Yeah.
than the 70s or whenever these were built.
Yep.
They've burned for 6 hours, they burned for 8 hours, they burned for 10 hours, and they didn't fucking collapse on themselves.
But were they also hit by planes?
No, they weren't
No,
hit by a
that's true.
fucking plane.
It is
Because
a wild
like you're
card.
right that they're burning, but the
It's like
structural
it's
integrity
how
would
it
be
falls.
compromised when you
Of
drive
course,
a fucking
of
giant
course.
plane into half of
But
it.
enough on the first. Let's say it hits smack in the middle. The whole bottom half's just gonna give out into like a pile of rubble and dust. No,
No.
And
no
I think,
fucking
Skylar,
way. There's
I'm
still
with you. I'm with you. Except on the
Feel me.
exact same fucking day, we have the opposite of that controlled experiment of a plane hitting the Pentagon and nothing fucking happened.
Very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Again,
Like,
built
that is the
differently
other
though.
side of it. It's like a plane
Yeah.
fucking hit that building and the outside of the building was damaged, not much else.
hmm
But again, we've
Yeah.
already talked about how that was built differently. That's
It
a
was.
military compound that is built to last.
Yeah,
The Pentagon, right? Two
of
different
course.
But where's
things
the
for
fucking
sure.
plane?
It's not too
Where's the
different that
engine?
it-
Oh, I'm
Like
not
a-
saying the plane existed or not. I'm just
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think you can
not gonna-
compare those two buildings.
But we're not
I don't even
comparing...
think if it hit the
implode
White House,
or
it would
whatever
be
the same
it would be stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're just
Yeah.
crashing a plane, a 747 into a fucking house. There's gonna be nothing
You
left.
wouldn't
You
find
know?
the house.
No.
Yeah.
No, but then like you wouldn't
yeah.
compare the house to the 9/11
No,
trade
But we're not
centers,
comparing
right? Like
the Pentagon to a mall. We're comparing it to a 1,000 floor skyscraper that's got to be built to be that tall. Like, it's got to be rigid and flexible and all that shit all at once. Like, it's not just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a flimsy building. Like,
But
it's
now
a
here-
fucking built building.
It just wouldn't come down as it did. That's
what
where the
about that
inconsistency
second one?
is.
The second one where he tilts. The first one, look at the first fucking like he crashed into like the last like 100 floors, right?
Yeah.
at like the first tower.
Right.
But that
North
second
Tower,
one where the guy like he totally tilts his plane
he did a
to
better
make sure
job.
that he
Took out more
he
floors.
hit his mark.
Yeah.
He was a professional.
Right.
Okay.
Right? Like I feel like that one is definitely like that. There's no reason why that like
Listen,
building
there's
probably
also
wouldn't come down.
It's also documented that these people they assume were responsible for this and controlling the aircrafts were like possibly some of them were possibly studying to be pilots or were enrolled in flight school, but they were fucking lousy. Like they weren't able to control a 2-seat plane. Never mind a fucking 1,000-seat plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they have this ultimate control, like especially the plane that hit the fucking Pentagon without even touching the lawn. You know what I mean? Like, and they hit the one spot. Like, I mean, really, did those people actually? Did they have the plan and did they pull it off, or were they just kind of patsies in this whole thing? You know, I think it's a 50-50 thing. Like the government, the American government, definitely had their fucking hands in the cookie jar.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it was even? Like, are you speculating that the people that they blamed it on weren't flying the planes?
No, they did it.
You think so?
I think everything comes back to fucking money. Honestly, everything comes back to money.
I'm not saying they weren't on the plane and they didn't like have some major role in the hijacking and stuff, but I don't firmly believe that they were actually in control of the plane.
The American government.
Okay.
No, the terrorists.
Oh, the terrorists.
I don't believe that they were flying. I don't necessarily believe or disbelieve. Yeah, but I mean, like, there's, like I said,
sure
like none of them are fucking pilots.
What's the
But if you get,
what's the hot speculation?
I'm not a pilot, but I fucking play enough
but if you
video
go to
games.
if you go to flight school for 3 months, are you gonna be able to fucking fly a plane into a building? No.
I've played San Andreas.
Yeah, right? I think I could figure it out. Even in Vice City, when it's really hard to fly a plane,
up is down, down is up. Planes, that's how they work.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
I was gonna say though, like, is there any hot takes on the flight that we all agree was shot down over Pennsylvania? Where was that one headed? The White House? Does anyone know?
Building 7.
I believe so.
Building 7.
Building 7?
Wasn't no? It was heading.
No, sorry. It was Building 7 because it collapsed under its own.
Yeah.
Because of fire and damage. Nothing fucking hit it. Maybe some debris. But it completely fucking collapsed within a matter of an hour or so. They speculate that possibly that Flight 93 was heading to Building 6 or Building 7 or something like that.
I think it was too small to hit with a plane, which is probably, you know what I mean?
Because Building 6 blew up too. It didn't collapse, but it fucking blew up.
There's skyscrapers, not skyscrapers, but like high rises all throughout New York. Like obviously the World Trade Center got hit because it's the easy target and there'd be people to die, right? That's why they picked it. Well, I think with your Building 7, I've seen Building 7. It's not a giant building.
No,
it's probably like
so. Like I think
maybe.
To try and crash a plane into it, I think that second plane or that plane over Pennsylvania was heading for the White House or Camp David, because that's where they bring the president when shit goes down, right? It's Camp David.
Yeah, for sure. Or Florida, where he was in the classroom.
Yeah. But the vice president, I think, was in
the White House.
Was in the White House and got evacuated.
He was in the White House.
Yeah.
The reason why I say Building 6 or Building 7 is because both those buildings took significant damage and nothing hit them. And that plane was shot down or had crashed, was possibly headed for one of those buildings that already had something rigged up. And that went off as it would at the exact time that it should. Like Building 6 fucking blew up 1 minute, like documented 1 minute after the South Tower was hit.
Right.
The second tower. So it's like maybe that plane was en route to fucking hit that Building 6, but it didn't make it. But the charges and everything still went off. It's just that's speculation. I just believe that that's possible.
Didn't do my research, but like, I just remember there was that one building that fell over like 4 or 5 days after 9/11. But you're saying this building blew, this mysterious alleged building blew up
Building 6.
A minute after Building 6.
Yep, and it didn't collapse, but it blew up, and there was a fucking like giant hole through the center of this building. Like if you looked at the outside of the building, it looked pretty much unaffected. But like all 10 floors had this massive fucking like hole through it, all the way down to the sub basement. So like however many floors, and the vault was open and empty. Whatever was in that vault, like financial records, was open, empty.
Now, I
when
can't
they fucking
speak
investigated
for
it.
the vault, but is it not plausible that whatever hit the World Trade Center towers went through the tower and landed on this building?
Of course, yeah.
I don't know the
1,000
projection
floors
of
high. It's gonna
maybe
be,
first
but nothing was
class,
found.
just-
Nothing was found. Like nothing was
Yeah,
found in
okay.
that building as far as debris goes. So
Wow.
I mean, like maybe the projection of the plane. Yeah, sure. That of course I believe that's possible. Yeah.
Because again, the show I watched last night was all about like them identifying, but like just random fucking like parts of like fingers and stuff, right? Because like people just got annihilated by it, but how they had to like extend their search, like I want to say north of the tower, but I don't think that's what it is. It was obviously just like this is where the planes hit, so past that, you know, it would hit and project things out. That they were finding like body parts on building tops, like rooftops, you know, quarter-mile down the road kind of thing. And this whole show is about them identifying those victims. It's just super fucked. But I think adds to what you're saying, where it's just like this hole in this building just sounds like something fell on it.
It does, yeah.
And then
it does.
somebody
It does.
robbed that safe. Robbed that fucker blind.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much like speculation, and I don't know. Believe what you want. Like all the stories are inconsistent, and the evidence is lacking, one way or the other. It's just fuck. It's just fuck.
Now, like I know with the moon landing episode, I was very pro NASA. I like NASA. I'm a big fan. Now this one, I definitely like. There's a gray area that this event definitely falls into, but I also very much believe that it's like there's a lot of piling on that goes into this, like the hoaxes that come into 9/11, where it's like I think you just like there's a truth there, but it can't all be true. Like
no,
I don't know.
No,
you know,
I don't
like,
think so. I mean, because we don't know enough.
No, there's
And
no
so,
way
like,
to
that's
prove
like,
anything.
A lot of it is speculation, right? Where it's like I definitely fully am on board that America knew about it. They let it happen so they could go to war. Now, like to rig buildings up, that's I don't know.
Dude, there's Reno company that was in there, and there's no documentation of the renovations that were done. You know, they're affiliated with with George Bush and some back alley shit.
Cheney,
so I
for
mean,
sure.
I don't know enough about it either, but it's like easy to kind of hitch my wagon to that pony and think like, well, something happened, some shady shit.
Like I think that's where you have to be careful. Where it's like if you hitch your wagon to that pony gonna take off.
It's going all the way.
Yeah, go all over.
I'm in the camp though that like once
hanging on.
You hitch your pony to the U.S. government, knew this was going to happen. They got the FBI and CIA intel. They intercepted the message. They knew these fucking people were in flight school. Like, they knew it was going to happen. Like, what's the one step further to, like, hey, let's piggyback that real event that we're going to allow to happen because we can go to war, and let's get Tower 7 at the same time because this big banking thing is coming together at the same, like, let's, piggyback. And no one's going to think twice about, a building one block over fell down because of all the debris. I think once you allow yourself to believe truth A, truth B becomes believable, and then, hey, truth C becomes believable, and then truth D is like...
Yeah.
That's a slippery slope of conspiracy. One step, you go down this path of, like, all three of us agree, Mandela effect, whatever, like, that flight was shot down over Pennsylvania. They reported that for the full 24 hours, and then the story changed. And now you can't really find a lot of information on that unless you go to like some wild like tinfoil hat website.
Or
like,
podcast.
Or podcast.
Podcast.
Like the story has changed. Right, so it's like, well, then if the story has changed, then the media isn't trustable because their narrative changed. And they're not acknowledging, like, hey, we reported this as a plane shot down, but this is actually what happened. It's like, no. We're just going to completely ignore that we said this before. Now we're going to say there's a hero on board that fought the box cutter, and he single-handedly drove this plane into the ground and killed everybody on board in an act of heroism.
Not single-handedly. They said there was, like, four dudes per plane, right?
But either way, the story changed, and there was no acknowledgement that, like, the first story was that this got shot down by one of the fighter jets that followed it for a couple miles. But it's also
just not, like, we kind of talked about how, like, they had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
Nobody.
Right? Like, I do feel like that's also part of it. Like,
big deal.
There's definitely, like, a duty to report, and if people get their dick hard on, like, I was the first one to break that news, so you say it instantly, and now, you know, it's bad now.
I like it before back then. Now it's fucked. Like, there's no reason to watch the news. Like, I'll just look on Twitter. Like, I don't need CNN to, like, cherry pick answers and tell me this is what happened. When there was that video game shooting last week, like, I heard about it on Twitter. I followed the whole thing on Twitter. I don't need CNN to, like, take all these, like, pieces and create a narrative of what happened. It's like, I saw what happened. I saw it in real time. Within minutes of it happening, the live feed was posted of the fucking shooting. Like, I saw it. I don't need CNN to add their...
Well, fuck CNN. Why are you watching CNN for? I'm a Fox News guy myself.
Like, what's your... Pick your poison.
Super reputable news source.
Pick your poison.
Like one of the most reputable. Yeah. For this Playboy.
I don't believe it unless it's on CPAC myself. I need to see it in the House
I
of
remember,
Commons,
like, back in the day, CNN was looked at as, like, evil because it was all day, 24-hour news. And now it's kind of changed that they're the lesser of the evils because they're less entertainment, but it's still the same deal where they have to, like, create news every hour because they need people to tune in.
Yeah.
We have a benefit if we
OJ.
do this hour once a week. Imagine we had to do this once an hour every hour. Like, we're gonna have to like come up with some shit every hour. Fuck that.
Fuck that. No, OJ changed the game. Like, when we fucking sat in front of that TV screen and watched him drive, his drive to freedom.
Yeah.
It was just like, go Juice. Juice is loose, you know? And you couldn't look away. No. I remember that.
Yeah. Not at all.
I can easily tell you guys that there was 3 times in my life where I remember sitting around the TV and just being, like, glued to it, not being able to move. O.J. Simpson, Columbine.
Blue Jays?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not talking
93?
happy moments. Yeah.
Okay.
Blue Jays 93, Maple Leafs 93. No, but seriously, O.J. Simpson, like, sitting there with my parents, not being able to turn it off. I remember coming home after Columbine and CNN on their live feed of what had happened, and 9/11. Right. Those were like 3 days where I remember, definitely the last 2 were like coming home from school and my mom like kissing me and giving me a hug and just like appreciating me as the awesome child that I was.
Right.
Yeah, powder in your butt.
Future podcast star.
Wiping my butt, yeah. Got a little something here. But, you know, like game-changing moments.
Do you guys have questions prepared for this week?
Mine's kind of a layup, but I was going to say, like, burn alive or jump to your death. You're on floor 875 of 1,000.
Honestly, not to make light of it, I think jumping, just because of the control factor.
Right.
Because I think at that point you're pretty sure that there's no other, like there's no way you can safely make it down, time frame wise. I think you just take control and you jump.
Now, what if I told you that you're wrong, and there is a safe way down?
Okay.
Okay, here you go with me on this, boys.
We're going.
Yeah.
Plane hits.
All the way.
No other way. No way out. Smoke. Cutting off your oxygen.
Sure.
You gotta go to the roof.
Yeah.
Get up on that roof.
Hold on a sec. Do you
The
remember
smoke is
when the
thick.
building collapsed? Do you remember when the building collapsed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so
yeah.
what?
Keep going.
Get up on the roof.
Yeah.
Right? Hang out on the roof.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait for the inevitable. Building collapses.
Mm-hmm.
You ride that motherfucker to the ground, and then you just tuck and roll. Well, that's 6
Okay,
feet.
okay.
Jump at the last second, like in an elevator.
Yeah.
You know what? It's
Aim
a
for
nice
the
sentiment.
bushes.
Yeah, it's
Aim
a
for
really
the
nice
bushes.
sentiment.
Aim for
Yeah.
the bushes.
If that
baby.
honestly, if we were in that building together and that was your plan, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it, let's go. We're going to the roof. We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
tuck and
you'd
roll
say
right out
that
of this
between you
bitch.
sucking my penis, just like,
Yeah.
we're going. Let's go.
You bet. I always
Yeah.
wanted to try this.
Yeah,
now
oh, yeah.
on,
Bucket
like,
list.
If
I
I'm
got a
ever
quick
in
bucket list. Firing them up.
Yeah.
You know,
Sucking dick.
I want to photocopy
Sucking
my
my best
butthole.
friend's dick.
Yeah, suck my best friend's dick. Make him happy for a change.
I just want to see what
Yeah.
God gave
know.
him.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
Yeah.
If I'm ever at a position
Oh, I've seen it.
that
I've
I'm
seen
working
it.
above like 10 floors, I'm bringing like some type of squirrel suit or hang glider to work.
Yeah.
You're
See, I
fucking
feel like
moron
a lot
if
of
you
times-
don't have a hang glider that folds out under your desk.
Here it is. Like, this is my question. Like,
Yeah.
why doesn't the union step up and be like, yo, fucking parachute or hand glider? Like, if I'm working that high up, I
Like
want a
emergency?
way out. Yeah.
Like they got the fire extinguishers and they're gonna have the emergency hang gliders.
Yeah.
For sure.
Behind-
I want a
behind
cool
glass,
fucking
too.
Gatling gun or something that can get me away from
Anything.
here.
Okay.
Here's
You
a
know?
quick story. This happened
Lifeboats for the 200th floor. That's what I would preach.
last week when I landed in Montenegro. We were all getting
Oh,
off
is
the
that you
plane,
wink?
and this fucking lady like fell down the stairs.
Ooh.
Because you know when it's like, okay, the plane lands, everyone stands up, gets their baggage, and then you just fucking stand there like a goddamn idiot because the person at the
Yeah.
front of the plane is taking their sweet time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
I've
it
been
gets a
on
little
plane
bit like
before.
pushy, whatever. And this lady like fell down the stairs and smacked her fucking head, and she had like a super bloody nose, but she was acting like she was fine.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah, because she's like embarrassed. Like she fucking fell off the bottom stair. Like she didn't fall all the way down the stairs. This is the bottom stair. Like she thought she was at the last stair, and you know how you think you're at the last stair, and then you like step awkwardly. And she had
yeah.
her like carry-on bag,
Feel
and
the
she was
whole
overweight, and she just like tipped and smacked her head off the ground. But I was like 5 people behind her, and I saw her smack her head, and she gets up, and her
She
nose
pulled a
is clearly
9/11.
broken. She's bleeding everywhere.
Rue! Jeez!
That's all I was thinking. I'm sorry.
But can you?
Whatever.
Okay, as annoying it is for me to get off a plane that has maybe 80 people in front of me taking their sweet fucking time, but they're not taking their time. Like they want to get off, but it's just like that congestion of people. Like you're not moving anywhere. If
Yeah.
you're on floor 800 and you're looking down the stairwell and there's just thousands of people like fucking dragging their ass,
Yeah.
I'm jumping out the window.
Yeah, I'm jumping out the window.
Fuck this. All these goddamn Melvins taking their time. I'm either Diddy Konging, like hanging like down the stairwell, like hanging from the down the middle,
Yeah.
or I'm jumping.
Yeah, if I was like,
not
if
waiting
I
in
was,
line.
If I no,
Fuck that.
no, if I was in 9/11 and I was trying to get down those stairs, I would just be jumping down the middle,
Jumping down the
Diddy
middle.
Kong style.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
like side to side. and if I fall, I fall. Like
You're
what
gonna
the
fall
fuck?
and get injured, but you're not falling far. You're just falling the floor down. And
Yeah.
but imagine
Ooh,
that
twist
guy
my
that's
ankle
just
real
like
good.
One at a
polite,
time.
that's just like at the
Carry
top,
me
like
with you.
waiting. Yo, we'll wait our turn and we'll get down there eventually. Everyone form a straight line.
Yeah.
It's getting really hot in here. Hope they turn on the AC there down there.
Oh my god. Please stop.
Yeah, some fucking asshole up there.
Yeah.
Fucking Mel.
Yeah, they
RJ
existed,
Patterson
for
at gmail.com. Send all your
Yeah.
emails over there.
Just fiery falling death.
_.
Oh lord.
Too polite
Yeah,
to
fuck.
live at hotmail.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Diddy
Is that it
Konging all
for
the
the
way
questions?
down.
Is that?
I'm Godzilla.
Well, I was Mike.
King
my
Konging
question was
down
just-
the outside of the building or Diddy Konging down the inside of the building. Like, there's some fucking feathers are being ruffled. I'm not fucking waiting in line to die.
No, it's all for one
Exactly.
and none for all at that point.
That's how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, it's all for one. No, I'd jump unless Rue was there and we did the dick sucking rooftop thing. Like,
We could jump
unless we
together.
were gonna do that. Yeah, jump
We
together.
would get on Time
Dick and
magazine
mouth.
if we were 69 jumping.
69 spiral down.
69 jumping. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah, you're
I'd
getting
let
on
you
top.
Undertaker me to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I'm getting upside down. There's
I'd
no
do
fucking way.
it.
Yeah, you'd
For
have
sure.
to.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, I can't remember the
Let
last
'em
time I did a handstand.
No.
But my
Pretty
question
cute.
was just, do you think the U.S. government, helped orchestrate this? Like, I don't know what else to ask, Like, where do you fall on that?
I'm leaning
You know where I
They-
fall, I don't have to answer
They
it.
definitely were super quick that it was it's Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
And I guess so Howard Stern also maybe started that, but it was super quick
Yeah.
that it was hey, we know exactly who it was. That I think I've said before, I don't necessarily buy into the demolition aspect of it, but I definitely think that America knew about it and they ran with it. They knew it was happening. It's not the first time they did it. They definitely did it in Vietnam, and they did it again this time with 9/11, where it was just we need a smoking gun to get everybody looking in the same direction and get on the same page so we can go. And the weapons of mass destruction, the WMDs that we heard about forever and ever and ever, and they're there. And not only, it's they weren't there, but if they were there, it was because America, sold them the missiles in the 80s. That was a thing. Afghanistan and America they were buddies during the 1980s, right?
Iran as well.
Yeah, they've
Iraq,
colluded.
all of them.
Yeah.
Against Russia.
Gave them all those weapons.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
hedging their
Was it
bets.
80s or was it Bill Clinton era?
It was the 80s.
No, it was in the 80s.
It was
Late
80s?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because Russia was trying to
it was all
invade
civil,
Afghanistan.
yeah, Cold War, right?
So was George
Afghanistan.
Bush Senior?
I think
No, it
even
was
before
Reagan.
that, Reagan.
Oh, even before
He,
that. Okay.
George Bush though was the head of the CIA, so he fucking
involved. Yeah.
he was in on some shit, right? And
There was some shady shit with Bill Clinton too, and
Oh, yeah.
Bin Laden or
yeah, that 3
Afghanistan or
strikes
something.
rule.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
idiot. Modern day
fuck.
slavery, yeah.
Okay, boys, let's
So, yeah.
put a bow on that. I think we're all in
Yeah.
the camp of it's not as clear as they say it
Suspect.
was, but we got a little bit different opinions.
Of how
9/11.
great it was.
How many years ago today?
Yeah, yeah.
17 years or 18? 17?
17.
years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Old enough to fuck.
2001.
I feel like I'm in a time capsule and I've just gone back to those days. It seems so fucking clear. That's
I know.
that's our Kennedy
I wish I was a little
assassination.
older though.
Yeah?
Like I wasn't old enough to form
I
wish
wish I was a little bit
structured
taller.
opinion.
I wish I was a
wish I was a
baller.
baller
Wish I had a rabbit and a hat.
A girl I would call her.
with a collar. But yeah, I mean, yeah, let's wrap it up. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Good.
Fuck it.
This is
Wrap it up
good.
on cool
Hey, and if you
90s
want to,
rap.
change your mood and get happy, why don't you go listen to Frontline Fiesta?
Yeah. Frontline
they'll
Fiesta
perk you right
on
up.
the anniversary of 9/11. What a romantic
17
day.
years. Never
Yeah,
forget.
you need it. Go get some.
Thank you, Frontline Fiesta. Thank you, Mikey and Skylar. See you
Yeah.
guys next week. Big kisses. Mwah.
Godspeed.
Godspeed.